Alright, so we're going to be focusing on story problems. Mrs. Lay pays $12 for a membership to a science museum. Then she can bring a guest for $5. What is the maximum number of guests that she can bring for a total of $42? Whenever I solve story problems, I always read the question multiple times because that tells you what you're solving for. It says, what is the maximum number of guests? So that's what you're solving for. So x is equal to the number of guests. So when you read the problem, just be thinking about how that's what we care about. We care about the guests. So Mrs. Lay is paying $12, and that's just a flat fee. That's for her membership. Then she can bring $5 for every single guest. Well, a guest is your x. So this is how much she pays, and in total, that's going to cost $42. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to solve this. We'll subtract 12 from both sides. Subtract 12 from both sides, so you get 5x is equal to 30. Divide by 5, so you get x is equal to 6. The other thing that you can always do, you can always check your work to see if you get the correct answer. If there's 6 guests and it's $5 per guest, that's in total $30. Mrs. Lay is $12, so that would be 42. So it checks out and we're good. Mrs. Johnson already had 20 flowers in her backyard. She can grow 5 flowers with every seed packet that she uses. How many seed packets does Mrs. Johnson need to have a total of 100 flowers in her backyard? Again, look at the question. How many seed packets? So that's what I care about. I care about the number of seed packets. So she already has 20 flowers. Now she's going to grow more, and she wants a total of 100 flowers. Well, she can grow 5 flowers with every single seed packet. So now I'm going to solve this equation. I'm going to subtract 20. So I get 5x is equal to 80. Now I'm going to divide by 5, and I get 16. So she needs 16 seed packets. All right, Mr. Dratton rides 3 kilometers during each trip to school. How many trips will Mr. Dratton have to make if he rides a total of 24 kilometers? So again, it's how many trips. So that's what you're solving for. You're solving for the number of trips. So it's 3 kilometers for every single trip, and it's a total of 24 kilometers. So this is just a one-step equation. So now we just divide by 3, and we get 8 trips. Mrs. Rolk has already run 19 miles on her own. She runs 2 miles during each cross-country practice. How many practices would it take for her to run 99 miles? So again, how many practices? That's the question. So we're solving for the number of practices. So she's already done 19 miles. Now practices are starting and she's doing 2 miles every practice, and she wants to run 99 miles. So we subtract 19 from both sides, divide by 2, and that will be 40 practices. Mr. Robertson can already play 24 pieces. He set a goal to learn 3 new pieces a week. How many weeks will it take before he can play 78 pieces? So the question is how many weeks? That's what you're solving for. You're solving for the number of weeks. He can already play 24, and he's going to learn 3 every single week. He wants to be able to play 78 pieces in total. So we're going to subtract 24. And then from here, we'll divide by 3. And that gives us 18 weeks. Mrs. Hample has already spent 4 minutes on the phone, and she expects to spend 5 more minutes with every call that she routes. In all, how many phone calls does Mrs. Hample have to route to spend a total of 49 minutes on the phone? So the question is how many phone calls? So that's what we're solving for. We're solving for the number of phone calls. She's already spent 4 minutes. She knows she's going to spend 5 more minutes with every single call. And we want to know how many calls that will be for 49 minutes on the phone. So we're going to subtract 4, divide by 5, and we get that that's going to be 9 phone calls. Mr. Elliott, his wife, and 3 daughters go for a road trip. He buys 12 bottles of Gatorade and a few bottles of water from the gas station. The total number of bottles they have are 4 times that of water bottles. How many bottles of water did Mr. Elliott buy? This is very confusing, but if we slow it down, we'll be able to get it. So this is where I really like my trick of looking at the question. How many bottles of water? So let's use W for water. That's what we're solving for. We want to know how much water. So it says that they are buying Gatorade and water. So let's just use a G for Gatorade. So they buy water and they buy Gatorade. Okay. And then it says here, the total, that's a little bit big. It says here the total number of bottles that they have, and that's W plus G, is 4 times that of water bottles. So that's going to be 4 times water bottles. But they tell us something about Gatorade. They tell us that they got 12 Gatorades. So now I have an equation with just my water. So I'm going to subtract W, and I get that 12 is equal to 3W. So that means that W is equal to 4. When you come across something like this and you think that it's rather confusing, you can always spend some time and check your work. So if they got 4 waters and they got 12 Gatorades, that would be 16 bottles in total. And it says here that the total number of bottles is 4 times that of water. Well, if water is 4, 4 times 4 is also 16. So I know that I got it correct. Mrs. Rolk lends half of her rock collection to Mrs. Lay. Mrs. Rolk then buys 4 more rocks. If she has 12 rocks now, how many rocks did she have initially? I'm sorry, we're waiting on the spinning wheel to move on. So she gave half of her rocks away. And again, the question is how many rocks? So we're solving for the number of rocks. So she gave half of her rocks away, but then she adds 4 more to her collection, and now she has 12. So let's subtract 4 from both sides. So that's 1/2 x is equal to, that's going to give me 8. Then let's multiply it by 2. And that gives me 16. So sorry, 16 rocks. A bus departed from Hastings at 11 a.m. with 44 students. 5 minutes later, a few students got off at the high school. The number of students who boarded the bus at the high school were twice the number of students who got off the bus. If the bus has 50 students now, how many students got off at the high school? My question is how many students got off the bus? So I want to know the number of students that get off the bus. So let's see, the time doesn't really matter. So we're starting with 44 students, and then what's going to happen is some students leave, and then some students come onto the bus. And then it says that then there'll be 50 students. Okay, so X is the number of students who get off the bus. So the people who leave, we're going to call that X. Some people get on, and now there's 50. And if we read carefully, it says that the number of students who boarded the bus at the high school were twice the number of students who got off the bus. So twice the number of students who got off the bus. And there's my equation. Let's combine our like terms. So that gives me 44 plus X is equal to 50. Subtract 44, and that gives me 6 students got off the bus at the high school. 4 times a number plus 5 times the number is the same as 10 more than 8 times the number. Find the number. 4 times a number plus 5 times the number is means equals, is the same as 10 more than 8 times the number. So now let's solve it. Combine like terms, subtract 8x, and that tells me that number is 10. Mr. Droughton bikes 90 miles every week. He bikes an equal distance the first 5 days of the week, as he bikes back and forth to school only, and a total of 30 miles on the weekend. How many miles does Mr. Droughton bike on a school day? So, he does 90 miles every week. The same distance for the school days, and then 30 on the weekend. I want to know how many miles does he bike on a school day. So X is going to be the miles on a school day. So there's 5 school days that he's biking the same amount, plus the weekend. The weekend is 30, and he bikes in total 60. He bikes in total 90. So now let's subtract 30 from both sides, and that tells me that during the week, he's going 60 miles. Divide by 5, and that means every single day, every single work day, he's going 12 miles. The perimeter of Mrs. Johnson's garden is 110 feet. The length of her garden is 5 less than twice the length. What is the length of her garden? So we know that the perimeter is length plus width plus width. That's the perimeter. And you get 110. It says the width of her garden is means equals, 5 less than twice the length. Twice the length and 5 less than it. So that's what W is going to be equal to. So when I look at this problem, I have length plus width. Well, width is actually 2L minus 5. And then another width is actually 2L minus 5. That's equal to 110. Let's combine our like terms. Length, 2 length, and 2 length. Well, this is 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 2, so that's 6L. Minus 5 is minus 10, is equal to 110. Let's add 10 to both sides. So 6L is equal to 120. So length is equal to, divide by 6, length is equal to 20. Remember, you can always check it. If length is equal to 20, let's find the width. Width is 2 times the length minus 5. So it'd be 40 minus 5, which is 35. So let's check 35 plus 35 plus 20 plus 20. Let's double check that we get the correct perimeter. So that would be 70 plus 40, so that would be 110. So we know that we got it correct, that the length is 20 feet. Mr. DiMaria and Mr. Puno go out to Roosters and each have the exact same meal: water and 12 boneless wings, celery, and blue cheese. They pay a 6% tax and 20% tip on their meals. The total bill, including tax and tip, is $27.72. How much did each meal cost before the tax and the tip? Assume that Mr. DeMaria and Mr. Puno pay a tip on the cost of their meals only. And again, let's look at the question. How much did each meal cost? So I care about the price of one meal. So if we think about it, we have 2 meals, plus we have the tax, plus we have the tip, and then the total amount is this. So we have 2 meals, and the tax is 6%. Well, 6% is a decimal, but it's 6% of the 2 meals. And then they also tip 20%, that's 20% as a decimal, of the 2 meals. And that's $27.72. So now, let's simplify that. And let's simplify this. Let's add all of this, because those are all like terms. And now last step is let's divide. And their meal was $11 each. Mr. DeMaria is starting a business selling his minis, which are painted figurines. His business is a huge hit. He spends $7,200 per month on business expenses, such as paying his employees, paying the rent, utilities, all that fun stuff. He also spends $4 to produce each mini, the paint, the materials, everything that he needs for that one product. He charges $12 for one mini. How many minis must the company sell in 1 month for the sales to equal its monthly cost? So how many minis? That's what I'm solving for. X is going to be the number of minis. And I want their sales to equal their cost. Well, it costs him $7,200 every month to pay for his business expenses. It also will cost him $4 for every mini. But his sales, he earns $12 for every mini. And we want to set them equal to see when he'll break even. So let's subtract 4x. Let's divide by 8. And that means that he needs to sell 900 minis to break even for the month. Alright, when you count by ones from any integer, you're counting consecutive integers. What I mean by that, 5, 6, 7, 8, those are consecutive integers because you're just counting up by 1. So, when you count by 1 from any integer, you're counting consecutive integers. You can represent consecutive integers as x, x plus 1, x plus 2, x plus 3, because that example, 5, 6, 7, 8, here's x. To get this next one, you just take x and add 1. And now to get this one here, you started with x and you added 2. To get to this one, you take x and you add 3. So that's the idea of these consecutive integers. So the problem is the sum of 3 consecutive integers is negative 225. What are those integers? So the smallest one is x, the middle one is x plus 1, and the largest one is x plus 2. Their sum is where you add them together, their sum is negative 225. Combine like terms, that's 3x plus 3 is equal to negative 225. Let's subtract 3 from both sides. So there's an error. So
negative 225 minus 3 is equal to negative 228. I wrote negative 258. So just keep that in mind.
Divide by 3, and that tells me that x is negative 80.
So again, negative 228 divided by 3, the answer should be negative 76.
86. It says, what are the three integers? So x is negative 86. But remember, we have to add 1 to get the next one. If you add 1, that's negative 85, because you're getting closer and closer to 0. Add another, negative 80.
So if it's negative 76, add 1 and it's negative 75. Add 1, negative 74. So that should be the answer.
84. Those are your three numbers. Now when you count by twos, you're counting consecutive odd or consecutive even numbers, such as 6, 8, 10. You'll notice here now you're going to go up, it should say this, you're now going up by twos, because this is x plus 2, this is x plus 4, then the next one is x plus 6. So the sum of three consecutive even numbers is 270. So I have an even number, then I have the next even number I have to add 2, the next even number I add 4. Their sum is 270, so their sum, that means that you add them. Combine like terms, that's 3x plus 6 is equal to 270. Let's subtract 6 from both sides. So now let's divide by 3, and that gives me 88. What are the three integers? The smallest one is 88. Add 2, 90, add another 2, 92. Those are my numbers. All right, same type of problem, only now we're talking about odd integers. So x is now odd. So if you're at an odd one like 9, if you add 2, you're still odd. And x plus 4, because if this is our x, to get to the third one, you'd have to add 4. And that's going to be 105. X plus x plus x is 3x. 2 plus 4 is 6. And so now all that we're going to do is we're just going to solve. So I'm going to subtract 6, divide by 3, and so that means that the three integers, 33, 35, and 37. And I'm done.